Hey folks, Carl here and welcome to episode 3 of Amusing Models FV215b183. Okay folks, so we have moved on to the main turret and we are going to start off with some very small internal parts. So I'm going to get those stripped off and then we'll take a look how they go in. Okay folks, so first section, part 14 in the destructions. We have cleaned up all these small internal parts here for going inside here. Now I've not done a huge amount of cleanup on these because obviously they're not going to get seen, but just to take some of the edges off, which probably help with the fit. So we're going to try something different. I'm going to try and bring the camera down and get it a little bit closer so you can see what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to set the camera up and I'll talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, so as you can see we are zoomed right in. We've got a pair of tweezers for handling the small parts and our glue at the ready. We're going to fit these parts here first, which are the parts off the A sprue. Glue over there, and they're in numerical order, so I just need to follow them by the numbers. So we're going to start off with part A16, which is this small part here, and this is going to be sitting in right here. You can see the little cutout just there, and that corresponds to that part there. So this is going to go something like so. It's going to sit right there like that. So we'll leave that like that because it's sitting quite nicely, and we're going to put a dab of glue down, let the capillary action take the glue around. And there it is, in place. So I'm going to get this done. I'm going to leave the camera on and we'll use some of the footage hopefully. So we are moving on to part A17, which is, again, these parts are getting smaller and smaller. So as you can see, this is quite awkward. So what I might do here is actually get a dab of glue on there to help it hold it in place. A dab of glue on there and a dab of glue on there. Soften up that plastic, and hopefully when we come to put these on again they might grip. I was hoping I could get them on and then position them. There we go. One handle, two handles. Centre that a little bit more. There we go. And of course, the last piece to go in here will be this part here, which just sits the way around, just on there like so. There we go. So now we're onto this back section, pretty much rinse and repeat. We've got a couple of handles to go on, touch of glue just to soften up a little bit. we go. And we've missed out this big one up here. It goes in here, this one. We're just going to put it in there like that. Put a dab of glue in. Let's lift it up, see what it looks like. So I think we'll have it a little something like that. Now the last piece to put in is this very small cog, and this sits on here. There should be a little pin that sticks out just there. So, and just like so. And there we go. It's on there like that. And that is the inside done. There's one more piece in this step, and that is one of the lifting points for the outside of the turret, which is just here. Bit of glue. Give it a moment to soak up, and then we shall put it in place. A bit of pushing it and a jiggle, get that plastic moving. Try and get it to extrude a little bit so we don't have big gaps. And the plastic actually pushes out from the underside, so it looks more like a weld seam than just a hole. And there we go. And that is the first stage done. So I'm going to move the camera back. Okay folks, so I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'm quite bad for doing this, and that is RTFM, read the manual. So we've just completed this step and we've got all these boxes here that look like they sit on the inside. So if we go to the next step and look at the next step, it doesn't show us anything about those boxes, but if you look at the picture, the boxes are supposed to come through the tank, and look, they look like they are the periscopes. So what I did, they weren't quite dry but they were pretty close, so we put on a little bit more of the Tamiya extra thin, let the plastic soften, and we pushed them up and through. Now they looked a little bit messy, so I've tidied them up as best as I can, and then I've gone over them again with the Tamiya extra thin and softened all the edges to make it look as good as possible. And by the time there's paint on there and the rest of the stuff on here, the hatch, the gun over the top, we're not going to see that mistake. So if you are building this tank and you come to step 14 where you start putting the boxes in the turret, before you glue them in places, make sure they come through the top on part 15 and then glue them in place. So there we go. So get that to one side. We are now going to start and get this lot prepped and ready, and we shall be back. Okay folks, so here are the parts for part 15. We've already gone and glued the lid on the box, and this box looks like it sits somewhere over here. It's not exactly clear where this box is actually going to go. Actually it is here it's going. So it looks like it sits, there's two slight little mould imperfections just there. They've got them all the way around this, and it looks like there's something going in all these spots. So this bag, and there's two little indentations on the back of this box, so those must locate somewhere in there. I'm going to guess, I can't actually feel it, which is unusual, so we are going to guess and glue it down around about there. I'm just going to hold it in place where I think it's going to go, and then we're going to put a dab of Tamiya on. So I think there looks quite straight. Dab of glue, a dab or two of glue, give it a squeeze for a moment, that plastic melt, let it take a grip, and then we shall let it go. And there we are, one box mounted. Is it straight? Yep, as straight as we're going to get it anyway. So there we go. So next part, we have the rest of these links. Thankfully that didn't go too far to go around the edge, so again, and make sure we get them all the right way up. There. Give it a squeeze and a wiggle. Try and get that plastic to melt and extrude out of the edges. Squeeze and a wiggle. A little bit more glue in there. So it's nice and soft. And there we go. If we get up close, you can see where it's extruded around the edges. There we go. No need to add any glue to this last one, I don't think. Nope. Next is, it looks like the back hatch. This is just a flat plate. Again, there's two little locator marks on the back of that, and these do locate like so. So we shall hold that. You can actually pull it down and it'll locate in, and you can apply a little bit of pressure to hold that in place. So a little bit of glue on that. One there. Careful doing that left-handed, unless you're left-handed. There we go. Check around the edge of that to make sure there's no gaps. A little bit more glue right on the bottom there. Last squeeze. And there we go. That back hatch is on. And the last bit we need to fit is these two circles. I have absolutely no idea what these are. These are going to be sitting right here. Again, there's a tiny little indentation mark on that. We should be able to move that around till we feel it. There we go. Hold that in place for a moment. Get it as level as you can. And then this one just sits over the top. So a bit of glue around that edge. A little bit in there. And we should just be able to push this over the top like so. And then leave it be. I've no idea what that is. Is it a spare wheel? Let's have a look at the other wheels. No, it's definitely not a spare wheel. So if anyone knows what that is, let me know please. So that is stage 15 complete, and we are starting to look like a proper turret now. So I'm going to leave all this to dry now, because there's a few bits and bobs I need to sand down where I've got my big clumsy fingerprints in it. So we'll be back shortly. Okay folks, moving on to part 16. It looks like we've got the smoke launchers. We have the two sub-assemblies for each side, and we are using up our last bit of photo etch. So off camera I have gone and built these up because photo etch makes me swear, and I don't want to swear on camera. Quite an awkward little part of photo etch, because we had to do a little bend at the end of the photo etch. It literally loops around on itself, so when it's mounted on the turret it sits slightly off the turret itself. The only thing we've got to add into these is the actual smoke grenades themselves, which are these tiny little things. Why they just didn't mold these together I don't know. Maybe because they wanted to improve their parts count, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount these onto the turret with a bit of super glue. and then I'm going to attach these separately. So I'm not going to do that on camera, so I'll get that done and we'll be back in a moment. Okay folks, so we now have these smoke grenades now all in place, looking reasonably okay. So next we have prepped all the pieces here for parts 17 and 18, nothing unusual. A couple of boxes to put together, and for the most part it's just the canopies. We've got one here and we've already glued in place one side, and then we've got the other side, the main hatch here, and another side part. So I'm going to probably leave this one open, so we're just going to get this lot glued down and in place. We'll zoom in a little bit and we shall start off with these main parts up here. So this main piece, this one, dab of glue on the bottom, quick dab of glue there, and that quite literally just sits in there like so. And again for this one, a bit of glue on there, small amount on this flat, this here, and then this just sits right there like that. So now we're on to some of these canopy covers. We'll start off with this small round one, so dab of glue around there, and then this just drops on like so. There we go, nice and easy parts. This one is just going to sit this way up, not this way where the handles and stuff are, and that is again, it's literally just going to sit on there like so. So we'll put that in place, and then we'll just use a bit of glue and let the capillary action of the glue do the work. Boom, and there we go. A bit more of this side, done. Again, this one, there's a little handle inside there if you want to put it on. I don't know why. Again, it just sits top of there like so. Again, touch of glue, touch of glue, and that is that in place. So for this one, there it is. I thought I'd lost that then, that tiny little piece there. So for this one, what we're going to do is, because that one's already glued in place, we're going to get this the right way up, which is that way. The other side has a handle on it. We're going to try our best to get this in there like so. I'm going to try our best to get this piece in place and glued down without gluing this. So we shall get our tweezers out like so. We shall push that onto there, and hopefully it won't be too awkward. Push that in as far as possible. Get our tweezers, and it's going to be awkward, isn't it? There we go. Oh, it bounced. I need to keep pressure on top of there as we do this. So keep pressure on there, hold it in place, position this where it's best to go, and then we get a very small dab of glue. Just put it on that base there, and we can then apply pressure again, like so. There we go. We've got it into the slot it's supposed to be in. Just hold it there for a little while. We'll lift it up. Actually, if we lift that up, we can get it into a better position. Just like so. he says. Yep, need a little bit more glue on there because it's not really melting it. There we go. Oh, we probably put too much down. You need to keep moving that while it dries to stop it from sticking. Otherwise it's going to end up fixed in place. So we have a movable hatch. It sits up a little bit, so we'll leave it like that for now. But if we can't get it to sit down properly, which I don't think we're going to, I may glue it down in place. So we'll leave that there for now. So zoom out a bit. So now we've nearly got all the top done as far as I can see. Oh no, there's machine gun and everything to go on yet, isn't there? There are actually some covers for these as well, so yeah, we are starting to look a lot better. So what's next? So forget the instructions, I'll put that to one side. So we've just done 17 and 18. Next we are doing parts 19. Parts 19, which looks like a couple more boxes we need to build up. Mounted, and there's those plates for the top of the viewports, stroke periscopes, and then of course we've got the gun to build on top. So I'll go get this lot ready. Is there much on this side? We'll do that separately. So I'll get this lot ready and we'll come back and we'll take a look. Okay folks, so we have put this gun in here and we've built the gun that sits on this top turret here, and there it is, but we are not going to mount this onto the tank. And there's the two ammunition boxes. We're not going to mount this onto the tank, we are going to be painting these separately. So these are going to go over to where the rest of the tank is and be ready for paint, which we are getting quite close to. So that is that section done, parts 19 and 20. So we are going to flip over and see what's next. And we're on to the main turret. So, not huge to do here, so we'll get it built up and see whether we're going to mount it or if it's going to be painted separately. So, see you in a moment. Okay folks, we are on to the last part of the turret, which is the main gun and the little bits and pieces that finish it off. So we have cleaned up the main gun. What we've done is we've sanded this down with the rough sanding stick, the really coarse stuff, and it's given us quite a nice little effect on that turret. So if I zoom you in a bit to show you, like so, I'll put my hand over there. I don't know if that camera is going to pick that up, but hopefully it leaves a very rough sort of texture. So we're going to leave that on and experiment to see what it comes out like. You probably might be able to see it on this one a little bit better. Yeah, probably. So we're going to leave that. We haven't sanded this down, which goes in the centre of the thing, because when we push this on we're going to extrude a bit of plastic and then we will sand it down when that goes together over the top of the centre of that barrel, like so, and then we'll squeeze it and some will extrude it and then we'll let it dry and sand it down. So we'll zoom back out. We are going to be painting this barrel on its own. We're not going to be painting it in here. We have this part as well that goes in the back of here. It will only go in one way, which isn't that way. I had a 50-50 chance. So turn it over and it just pushes it in place like so, and that gives us a little bit of movement. Now I have to hold this in place when pushing this in, otherwise it just pushes it out at the back. It's not a very tight fit, shall we say, and it gives us a little bit of movement in the turret. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Like so. There we go. So like I say, that goes in there really tightly, so I'll get that back out of there. Thankfully, when we come to put this bottom section on here, he says, with all these like so, we can still reach inside there quite easily, so we can hold it all in place. So we're going to get this piece glued in. It just sits on the front here. We've got this part here on the inside which actually tucks up underneath there, so it sort of goes on at an angle like so, and then pushes up and on like that. Now this is leaving quite a big gap, so I'm going to drop a bit of glue on it and then hold it quite tightly in place while this glue goes off. And hopefully these gaps will close up a little bit. And the other side. Like so, and now we will just squeeze it and hold it in place. And we should get all these gaps closed up. One. Two. And there we go. I think that will do is we'll leave that to dry. There are a few spots where I'm going to need to sand it down where my big fingerprints have got in it. So I'll leave that there to dry. Next we're going to get the barrel together. Again, this is slotted, so it'll only go in one position, like so. We're going to try our best to keep it as straight as possible. So a little bit of glue around there, and a tiny little bit on the inside. Very, very gently put that like so, and then have a look down to make sure we've got it straight, which I think we do. So I'm going to stand that up way over there out of the way, that way around, be a bit more stable, like so. So I'm going to need to let those dry, and then we'll get this bit on, this bottom plate on, get that cleaned up. So I'll see you back in a moment. Okay folks, so as you can see the barrel is now complete. We had to give this a bit of a wiggle once this was on and around here, because there was a small gap around this edge here, so we've given that a wiggle and a sand down. I thought I was going to have to fill it at one point, but we managed to get it to fill itself, and we've sanded this down to match the sanding on the barrel, so that is all done. We've also gone and put the bottom on. This is all now connected, and of course we've got this front section on where the gun mounts, which still moves. A hint is don't stick this part on without this piece in there, otherwise you will not get it in. So that is now our turret complete. So we are effectively now ready for paint. So we have our upper turret and main gun, we have our upper hull, and this just goes on. There's two locating pins either side, so it goes on the side like so, and then turns like that. This looks like it's going to be quite a heavy barrel, so we may end up having to glue this in place. And of course we have the lower hull, and this of course sits on there, Mike. So there is our main body of the tank, and of course on top of there we have the machine gun, which again is going to be painted separately. We also have the two side panels that go above, in front of the wheels and the bogies, that need painted, and of course we have our tracks to paint as well. So to give you a bit of a comparison on how big this tank actually is, I've got the King Tiger here, which we built some time ago. So you've got this tank here. Look at the size of the gun. Move that back a bit. And here, in the same scale, is the King Tiger, the Meng King Tiger. So you can see, lengthwise they're pretty similar, but look at the size of the turret and the gun. The difference is huge. So we are now going to move on to paint. We'll get this all stripped back down shortly. So the plan is we are going to prime in either a white or a grey, and then we're going to paint the tank in olive drab, which is FV215b183. So I'm going to call this episode here done. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Be good, be safe, and as always, keep making models without breaking them, and we shall catch you next time. Ta-ta. These look like the smoke detectors, not detectors. Part 16 looks like the smoke detectors. Okay folks, part 16. These look like the smoke projectors, or we'll try that again. Okay folks, part 16. These look like the smoke oh god, what are they called? Launchers. We'll go with launchers. Okay folks, talking nonsense, because they are slightly raised. So the only thing we have left we aren't going to worry too much about that. So I was actually putting that in upside down. What an idiot. The gaps around the edges here, because they were. Take two.